All the Straw Hat final fights will be a combination of characters Luffy has fought in the past. This isn't as much of a theory as it is just an idea that's in my mind, and has been more consistently since the loss of Kaido and Big Mom. We've known since post-time skip that BB has been collecting DFs. And we know he can eat, and possibly make other people be able to eat multiple DFs. So the idea is that the final fight of each of the Straw Hats will be a combination of people from Luffy's past, created by BB, which would equate to their perfect counter. For example, for Sanji, I was thinking Alvida, with Hancock's fruit plus the soap fruit plus Toge Toge, which would create an opponent whose sole purpose is defeating Sanji. Since he can't touch her because of emotional reasons, spikes. Barity when he first met Luffy, spikes were a major focus, plus because she's a woman, plus because of physical reasons he would literally not be able to land a strike, plus Kizaris. Fruit. Speed versus speed. Sanji would need to go all out, embracing his amplified DNA to its fullest. I imagine this fight to be Sanji having to overcome his greatest weakness, since if he is even attracted to his opponent for a split second he is instantly done for. He will have to embrace his weapon of science side, and the fact he isn't someone that asks for help, since his speed makes him the only thing capable of winning this fight, plus him acting normal around a woman would allow him to get his happy ending. For Zoro, Mihawk, plus the sword fruit, or Buggy's fruit, but I'm going with Mr. One's fruit since Mihawk covered entirely in his armament should have the highest defense in the verse, if we assume swordsmanship correlates with armament as has been hinted, plus Kaido's fruit plus Robin's fruit, since she was originally an enemy of the SHs and the fruit would allow for 9 sword style versus 9 sword style, since it would create the perfect counter to Luffy, meaning Zoro would have to fight him in Luffy's stead, and it would force Zoro to use Asura plus a kindness fruit, to remind him of the one time he wasn't there when his captain needed him most, plus the most destructive DF versus Asura, gods of destruction and chaos. I imagine every hit in this fight to be capable of one-shotting basically anyone else in the verse, so that it really would be a fight for the title of greatest swordsman ever. One hit ends the fight, but landing that hit is a gargantuan task no one except Zoro would be capable of. It's a battle of swordsmanship. I also imagine this fight being the first and last time we get to see Zoro fight serious, as he said before fighting Kaido. If he hesitates for even a second, both him and Luffy would die. His opponent would have everything the world's greatest swordsman, strongest man, and strongest creature had plus more. So I imagine it being the perfect ending to Zoro's story, and one which would make the whole fanbase happy, as he would be getting a spotlight equals to Luffy's, without it taking away from the story or Luffy's spotlight in any way, shape or form. Whilst Luffy deals with the story implications and BB, Zoro deals with the biggest threat. As the man who entitled the will of the world's greatest warrior, Yuma. For Nami, along with Enel's fruit plus FM karate, she isn't fit to keep up with him physically, so instead she would have to focus on her intelligence and manipulation of weather on a wide scale. I imagine this being Nami's redemption fight. Her opponent only scales around the monster trio post-time skip, but the emotional implication of it is big. Also, since fighting using weather would have such major impacts on the environment, she would forever be leaving her mark on the map of the worlds from something like Nami's crater. Her opponent doesn't seem that strong in the grand scheme of things, but his attacks are immensely powerful. For Usopp, Rob Lucci, with Aokiji's fruit, and all 3 types of haki. weaker than Nami's opponent. Although being weaker than Nami's opponent, I imagine this fight going down in history as more impactful, since it's the fight in which Usopp would achieve his dream. It's the fight where him running away isn't seen as cowardice, but instead the opposite, as he would be forced into fighting from a distance. I picked Rob Lucci, because like Akainu with Zoro, Lucci is Usopp's reminder of the time he, Usopp, not Sojking, let Luffy down when he needed him the most. It would also allow a David versus Goliath situation where Usopp wins even though he is at a major physical disadvantage. For Brook, a member of BB's crew, someone with big moms plus Marcos fruit, it's the battle for the title of Soul King. Both opponents would be manipulating souls for the win, and Brook would have to go the extra step as none of his physical attacks would be enough. Even death wouldn't be enough since the Phoenix would just rise again. Brook would have to aim for the soul. For Chopper, someone that has a mix of all the other Zoans, normal and ancient, I imagine this to be a fight where the two constantly switch between forms, and the other turns into an amalgamation of the lot that loses to Monster Point. The fight ends with a clash between two literal monsters, with Chopper coming out on top because he embraced that fact that is what he is. I also imagine that his relationship with Luffy, Zoro and Sanji would play a part in this fight, with him realizing that being a monster is what it takes to help others. This would help him be a doctor in some way. For Frankie, Vegapunk with Kid's fruit, I'm just gonna leave this one to your imagination. Jinbei versus a Garp-level Haki user. This one is mainly because fruits don't mean anything against Jinbei, and I think his final fight will be on the water. Against a strong Haki user it can go either way, and will need Jinbei to make use of strong defense and hand-to-hand which cost him against Ace and Akainu in his past. For Law, I imagine Doflamingo with the Mochi Mochi no Mi. Both manipulate reality. Doffy could create sets of mochi to use as string, and create anything he wants. Law can do the same in a whole different dimension of space. He would have to embrace his inner creativity, anger and ingenuity to win, like Luffy.